Hi guys, this is Vishal here from DrapCode. So in this video, we will understand how to use custom component with dynamic data, right? And the data will come from DrapCode database, right? So previously we have created a video where we have shown how to create custom components by just copy pasting the HTML, CSS, JavaScript libraries and build the component which are not supported in DrapCode by default. So you want to create, let's say, a calendar, a chart, a graph, a data table, anything, you can just create it of your own. In this video, we will show you how to create the components and then how to bind dynamic data to the components. So the data is coming from a DrapCode database, right? And it can also come from any external REST API. So that is something which we'll cover in some other video. So let's see how that can be done. So we have this table library. So it generates nice looking table, tabulator, right? So now let's say I want to build a table like this in DrapCode, right? And then I want this data to be coming from DrapCode collection. So let's see how that can be done. So first thing, let's just go and create a static component and then we'll make it dynamic. Okay. So I'll go to the documentation and first I'll install, follow the installation process. So we install using CDN URL. So we need these URLs, which is like a CSS file and uh, JavaScript file. So whenever any plugin you will install, which is not part of DrapCode, and like the plugin, like or any library which you want to implement, you typically they gives you CDN for the CSS and the GS. So you just copy paste this. Okay, so I'll just copy this. I'll go to DrapCode. In DrapCode, in app setting, you will see this option for custom component. So I'll go to the custom component, create a custom component. I'll say tabulator table. Now it gives you several options: CSS, GS, HTML code, CSS code, JavaScript. So let's go and put the CSS file URL. So I'll just copy paste it. Make sure you remove all the white spaces if there are any. Okay, I'll just add it. Now let's go and copy the script URL. So I'll just paste it here. That's all. Now HTML, CSS, and JavaScript code. Okay. So now let's take a look at any table and let's try to build it. Okay. Okay. So let's build a table like this table. Okay. It is not a full width. So there may be some property which makes it full width. So we'll see how that can be done. Okay. So I'll just copy the HTML. You can copy it from here. So in the HTML block, I'll just copy the HTML. Sometimes you may have to write this div yourself. So the library is asking that on which particular div you want to put that table or that chart or that graph. Okay. And I'll copy the JavaScript. So you see it's a JavaScript. So I'll just copy it. In the CSS, I'll leave. In the JavaScript, I'll paste it. So here you see this is the ID of this particular table. So we are saying for this particular div, draw this table. And this is the data which is static. We'll make it dynamic later. Okay. And I'll just update this one. And I also update this one. Okay. So now my table is done. Let's see if there's a property to make it full width. Probably responsive layout, height. You have to go to the documentation to see how to make it full width. Let me be layout columns width. So let's go and just put it here. Something like this. Then update. Okay. Now I'll go to my page and drop this component, right? So it will build the table. So let's say I want to build the table here. So I'll go to my components and drop this custom component. Okay, so this is saying bring the components which are part of custom component. So this is the tabulator table. So I'll just add it here. It won't show the preview because custom components get generated on the preview environment and the published live environment, but you will not see it on the builder. You will see a blank div like this, which says custom component. So I'll click preview. So the table is here and all this data is coming static. Okay. Now let's say I want to bring this data from DrapCode collection. So let's go to DrapCode. We already have a collection called employee. And it has a couple of fields: name, age, location, gender, created at. Okay. And so let's say I want to display this data in this particular table, right? Because I'm working on a dynamic project, a web application where I want a table like this, but data should come from DrapCode collection. So let's see how that can be done. So I go back to my custom component module and go to custom data mapping. So this is the part where we enable you to build the data which can be used in these custom components. So I'll say create custom data mapping, any name, employee data. You can name it anything. This is for your own reference. In the data source, we are asking where you want to bring the data from, whether it's coming from an internal draft code collection or it is coming from any external API. So external API will cover later. So for now, I'll say draft code collection. It is asking which collection. I'll say employee collection and which filter. So you can basically bring the data on the base of logged in user, logged in team, and you can create any filter. Let's say you want to bring data employees of some particular status, less than, greater than. So all those you can control at the filters level. Right, you go to the collection, create the filter. So as of now, I'm seeing all items. I just want to display all items from that particular table. But if you want some filter data, go and create the collection, like filters in the collection, and then use that particular filter here. So this is fine. Now this is the mapping. So this is the most important part where we will see in what format the plugin is expecting the data so that we can give the data in that particular format. Most of these plugins expect JSON data. So we are basically supporting JSON as of now. So if there is some other format, probably it may not work. So I'll go back to the documentation. In here, let's see data loading. So basically we are saying data should come from AJAX or basically dynamic data. So let's see how that works. So not from local file, save loading. Okay. So this is it where the data is coming from some external data source, right? Data load by AJAX. So this is data coming from AJAX. Here it is. So they are calling it on click. I want to load data as soon as the page loads. So probably this example will work for us. So I'll go to the documentation and the source. So here you see the div is same, which is fine. There is some changes here. So now let's copy this and go back to our table. Before doing the changes in the table, let's first build the data. So I'll say this is the dynamic data and they have written us a PHP code that how this data comes. So we don't have to worry about PHP and all. We'll just say how this data is coming. So we have like 4 fields. So I'll go to my collection. We have 4 fields: name, age, location, gender. So let's render all these 4 fields and use these 4 fields in the table. So first I'll say name. You can just give any name, right? We will use the same name there in the table, right? So second is age. I'll say age. Third is location. I'll say location. So this name you can give anything. Whatever this name you will give, you have to give the same JSON key when you are using the data in the collection, or sorry, in the that component, right? So that I'll explain it in a moment. Gender, so gender. Okay, that's all. And JSON path. So here, if you see, the plugin is expecting the data in a data key, JSON key. So all the data should come inside data key, right? So I'll just give data. So this is a bit technical. So custom components are for people who understand basics of JavaScript, HTML, CSS, because this you will be needing, right? So now I have configured everything, collection, field, filter, and all the fields. So we are exposing these 4 fields of employee collection in a JSON path or JSON key, which name is data. And I'll just say save. If you want to see how this looks like, you can just click this eye icon. And these are the data URL for the preview in the production environment. So if you click preview, you will see the data which is coming from preview. So let's just copy this and then see how this data looks like. So I'll go to JSON formatter just to show you how this looks like. So I'll just paste it here and I'll format. So this is the format in which we are rendering the data. So in the data key, it's employee 1, 2, 3, right? So now we want to use the exact same data to build that table. This is the production environment. So production, we don't have any data. So it is not display anything. And this is the URL which you will have to use in your custom component so that when you are loading it in a production environment, it loads the data from the production database. And when you're loading in some other environment or preview, it loads the data from the preview database, right? So I'll copy this. This is it. So data part is done. Now let's go back to the custom component and add this data. Right. So as of now, you see everything is hard coded. So I'll just remove this. I'll just paste this. Okay, so this we will use. Now let's go back to the documentation of the table and see what is the script to load dynamic data, right? So this is the script. Okay, so I'll copy this script. So this is the script which is building the table. I'll try to explain what it is doing. This is basically the title of the table. So here you see this is the title, name, progress, gender, rating, and these are the types. And so here it is showing the type, whether the field type is star, field type is column, or like horizontal and center. So couple of things. So we are just focusing on the 4 fields which are coming from our collection. So I'll just copy this and probably we'll just change it there itself. Okay, so I'll come back to my project. Okay, I'll remove this and I'll put the new one. So here in the Ajax URL, you have to give the URL which you have copied from the data mapping. So this is the most important part because now we are saying bring the data from our mapping. So I'll just paste this and make sure you paste the complete URL. So this is most important. Now we know that in our database, we are entering 4 fields: name, age, location, gender. Okay, so we will remove this mapping and use the one which makes sense for us. So one is name. In which field the name is coming? It's coming in name field. Okay. Or just to make it simpler, I'll just copy it from here. So it's a name. I'll say field name. So this is the label of the table. You can give anything. Let's say I'll say full name. It's fine. Second field is age. Okay. I'll say age is age. Number is fine. Progress, I don't know. We try what it is, whether it shows a progress bar or something. Okay. Then location. So this is location. I'll say, let's say country. You can give anything, right? Gender. These name needs to be exact, right? So that it maps the data and show you. So we don't have column. So I'll just duplicate this. I'll say gender. What we have done, the data is coming from this Ajax URL. We have mapped it to the table and to the respective column. That for this column, display this column, display that, right? And 20 records at a time, which is fine. Everything is fine. So I just update this. So we have updated the custom component to change the behavior from static data to dynamic data. So let's see how this looks like. So this was our previous table with the static data. Now these columns should change and the data should come dynamically. So I'll just reload the page. Okay, so you see now the dynamic data is coming. This is some height coming because I think we have hard coded the height. So here you see height is hard coded. So I can change it, increase it, decrease it as needed. Let's say I say 120 pixel. Update it. So whatever changes you will do in the table, you will be able to see them immediately. Now let's go and add more data. So I go to my collection, go to employee collection. Let's add one more employee. Let's add one more. Save. Now if I go to my table and reload this, I should be able to see the new records. So here you see all the 5 records are coming. This Julia and James, which we added just now. It is not visible because we have fixed the height of the table. So let's go and change it. So this is the beauty of custom components, that you can control whatever you want, right? You can control height with whatever settings are supported by that plugin. You can just control it from there. So let's say height is from 120. I say 220. Update it. Come here. Reload the table. It's 5, right? And we saw there was some for the age. Let's try to show it as a progress bar because they are showing as a progress bar. So here I'll say field progress, sort of progress, format of progress. So this is something which we have to copy. I'm just trying. I don't know whether it will work or not, but let's see. Let's just see. Okay, so age is number and all. Let's see. Okay, so it is showing a progress bar. So you get all the capabilities of the tabular table in any Trapcode project. Similarly, you can do whatever you want to do. You want to build a nice calendar, you want to display data in some charts, graph, anything that can be done dynamically with custom component. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you again in the next video. Bye bye.